Hello and welcome to another episode of Vidhi Sambad, a podcast series under Project Nyay. So, good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much for being here, and I thank you on behalf of the whole team for giving us an opportunity to host you for this podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting me to your show.
Thank you, sir. So, we'll begin with the first question. May sound very generic, but what inspired you to pursue legal studies?
What inspired me? Okay, so let me be honest with you. I never wanted to do law. I was against it, to be very frank with you. And but my dad pursued me to do law, right? And for the first 2 years, I was not even studying. I was just giving exams, and I was getting good enough marks, and I was getting passed. But after a couple of years, I started liking the law. I started liking the subjects, and then I started developing interest in it. And thereafter, because some of the friends of my father were lawyers, so I did internship under them. So I started liking the court process. So ultimately, I went into litigation. So this is a small story. A guy who was elected to do law went to do law and ultimately started liking it.
So, this means कि if we are not liking something at the initial stages, थोड़ा उससे go through करेंगे, so we'll get to know something about
Yeah,
it.
of course. See, either you love what you do or you do what you love. It's as simple as that. So now you're into it, just love it. That is it. So it's not bad. It's a good thing, and I liked it. And मज़ा भी आता है. ऐसी बात नहीं है. कभी कभी frustration भी होती है. So it's a mix. It's a bag of mixed feelings. So ultimately, up. It's been almost like 8 years now. So I like it now.
So, this is the question for a lot of students who are thinking of pursuing the legal studies. So, what kind of perks does Delhi University provide while doing legal studies? What kind of platform does it offer?
See, I think the biggest, the impact of doing law from Delhi University, I would say, is the atmosphere around. Because I have done my law from like IP University, and I have known people who have done law from Delhi University. The atmosphere they were in is something different. You know, you will get to interact with people not just from the law background but also from other streams. So there's a personality development which happens in Delhi University, but I think it is lacking in IP University or other universities. Plus their internship programs and other things which are happening over there. I think people who do law from Delhi University are ultimately they become good, not only good lawyers, but they become good judges as well. Of course, IP University and other universities are catching up to it, but I would still say, it's one of the oldest universities to provide law regarding studies. So they have a different culture, and I think the culture ultimately helps you to bring out the best of to bring out best of you. So I think it is the culture which helps.
So, like as you told, you started liking law after like 2 years. You started liking it someday. So, instead of doing academics, were you like an all-rounder student who participated in different competitions? And if yes, what kind of competitions did you look forward to?
See, I for the first 2 years, like I said, I was just doing it time pass, and after that, when I got a little serious, so I started participating in the competitions. That is the negotiation, participate moot court competitions and other things. So then I started like doing that. I was good in moot courts. I was good in negotiation things which were happening. So those were really instrumental in shaping the kind of personality I am having today. So I learned a lot from there. But of course, doing it from in a college and doing it in courts, it's a different ball altogether. So but you get a perspective that how you have to do it, so you get a glimpse of it and ultimately it helps you in future.
So, being a first generational lawyer, as a lot of students, as we see today, are first generation lawyers who are trying to be lawyers. For example, me, nobody in my family is a first generation lawyer. So, for you, how was the experience with no one guiding you by your side? So, how did you get the whole experience of the law arena?
I'll use a phrase, जिंदगी ठोकर खा के ही समझ में आती है. You will make your mistakes, and once you make it, you learn from it. I have made tons of mistakes. The biggest mistake was that I did my first internship when I was in the third year. Had someone guided me, I would have done my internship from first year onwards. I did not do it, and I would have made more contacts. So, as a first generation lawyer, it is very difficult. There's no one to guide you. So you will have to carve out your way on your own, right? And once you complete the law, you get into litigation or even into the corporate law. It is very difficult to make a mark for yourself. There's a lot of struggle. I mean, for 5 7 years there's just struggle for you. After that, once you will be 30 or something, you'll start making a name for yourself and start making money. And by the time you will realize okay, now I am 30, most of my young life has been into the courts only. I have not been able to enjoy. But after that, you'll see you'll making good money, you're making good contacts, you'll have a certain stature before the society. So you'll be like okay, जो पहले नहीं कर पाया वो अब करने की कोशिश करता हूँ. But overall for the first generation lawyer it is a very very difficult line. मेरे से बहुत लोग पूछते हैं, lot of time people ask me whether they should pursue litigation or not. I always advise them against कि अगर आप 5 7 साल अपने देने के लिए तैयार हो तो ही लिटिगेशन में आना. अदरवाइज अगर आप एंजॉय साथ साथ करना चाहते हो, डोंट गेट इनटू लिटिगेशन, बिकॉज द पेइंग for the litigating lawyers, juniors, they do not get much pay. I started with 7,000 rupees salary in 2016. Now students are still getting, after graduation they're getting 10 15,000, which is still very less. So the salaries are very less, and you will take time. You do not know how to handle cases. You're learning. Clients will not come to you easily because they'll be hesitant to give cases to a new lawyer. They'll of course go to someone who is far more experienced, or even to their son, because they know उनके पीछे backing किसकी है. आपके लिए first generation lawyer के लिए it is very difficult. So it's a mixed bag again, I would say.
So this could be a very scary statement for somebody who's trying to pursue law for the first time.
See, scary है, I agree with that, पर सच है. या तो आप अपनी फेरी टेल्स में रह लो कि हम ये कर लेंगे वो कर लेंगे, या फिर be prepared for the reality. The life is harsh, and the litigation life is actually very hard. आप सुबह जाओगे, supposedly I put up in North Delhi, right? So if I have to go to the court in Saket court, that is in South Delhi, so I have to leave by 8 or 8:30 in the morning. रात को आओगे 9 बजे, क्या करोगे? So आप अपने 5 7 साल मान के चलो कि आपकी बहुत बुरी होगी हालत होगी. उसके बाद life will start getting easier for you. So हाँ, ultimately ये भी है, if you get into a job or you do something else, you become a professor or into some other job, or you're in counsel for some company, जो वहाँ पे आपकी ग्रोथ होगी वो स्टैग्नेंट होगी. यहाँ पे जो ग्रोथ होगी आफ्टर 5 7 years, वो एकदम आपको अलग से ले जाएगी. जैसे आप समझो आप 0 पे थे, आप कब 100 पे पहुँचोगे आपको पता नहीं चलेगा. सो इट्स लाइक दैट. क्योंकि यहाँ पे आप जो इन हाउस काउंसिल्स होते हैं कंपनीज के, आप देखोगे, I don't think most of them have Mercedes, but if you go to the High Court or the Supreme Court parking, you'll find the biggest cars over there. So the litigation lawyers ultimately earn more. Eventually they will earn more, but initial struggle is a lot. So if you want to get inspired, go to the High Court parking or to the Supreme Court parking, you'll get inspired. And then you can choose your way.
So recently also one of the high courts declared, like in a judgment, they said that lawyers need to start paying 10 to 15K to their junior lawyers. So how effective do you think this statement is going to be in the future? Is it going to make a difference?
See, such statements have been made in the past as well. We all know the reality of law. We all know the ground reality. I don't know in which year you are, but once you will graduate, if you go to some lawyer and you will ask them, you want to join them, there will be tons of lawyers who will say we will not pay you because we are teaching you. So once, if we are teaching you, why should we pay you? You will make mistakes. We are teaching you the procedure. We are teaching you how to argue before the courts. So why should we pay you? So there will be a lot of lawyers who will do that. Of course, there are some lawyers who pay generously, but उनकी जो proportion है वो बहुत कम है. But I don't think कि such statements will have an impact on the ground. That is my take on it. Unless the Bar Council of India makes a rule, makes it mandatory that you have to pay minimum so and so amount, otherwise you cannot. और अगर आप नहीं करते तो आपके खिलाफ complaint हो जाएगी. Unless that rule or something like this is made, I don't see such statements will be having any impact.
So, but at the end of the day, the bar council is somehow controlled by lawyers itself. So why would they, try to make a statement against themselves?
कहने के लिए आप देखो ना, अब नए लॉयर्स आ रहे हैं, इलेक्शंस है, आई विल नॉट से मच अबाउट इट. सो उनके इलेक्शन सब कुछ देखना होता है, यंग लॉयर्स को भी केटर करना है, पुराने लॉयर्स को भी केटर करना है. सो समटाइम्स यू हैव टू प्ले टू द गैलरी. सो दैट इज़ ऑल आई विल से अबाउट इट. बाकी समझदार समझे.
Sure, sir. Sir, so right now I'm in second year. So currently, what I see in my college and what in law general is like people try to make a very big gap between corporates and litigation, and there is a gap. So what was the point in your law journey where you decided कि now I want to do litigation? Where was that particular point?
See, I never wanted to do corporate law because मैं एक जगह बैठ के नहीं कर सकता कि बैठा रहूँ वहीं से काम कर लूँ. I like meeting people, I like socializing, and मुझे अच्छा लगता है, once you graduate आपके बहुत सारे friends, you will not be in touch. So जो litigation में होगी, you will get to meet them in courts. कभी ना कभी मिल जाएगी, टकरा जाएगी, 3 साल बाद मिल जाएगी, अच्छा लगेगा. एक चीज़ वो है. तो दूसरी, the second thing is when you appear before the court and when you give your submissions, the first time the order which will come in your favor ना, that will change your mood. You will like यार अब तो यही करना है, अब घिसा लेंगे, सब कुछ कर लेंगे, पर करना ही है, क्योंकि the satisfaction you get when you convince a judge that this is something I am trying to say and the judge agrees with you. So that particular gives you a kick, and for that you'd love to do law for the rest of your life. That is the ultimate thing. And सबसे ज़्यादा मजा पता क्या आता है? You are arguing on a point of law. The other side is also arguing on a point of law. कोर्ट आपकी बात सुन के आपके फेवर में ऑर्डर करते हो, दैट इज द बेस्ट थिंग फॉर यू. आप मतलब उससे ज़्यादा सेटिस्फैक्शन जो शायद आपको उस केस की फीस में मिलेगी, उससे ज़्यादा सेटिस्फैक्शन जो ऑर्डर होगा ना आपको उसमें आएगी.
So usually what happens is कि while studying law and while practicing for moot court sessions and different things, all the law students, we kind of idealize some person who's already there on a higher mast. So who was that person for you, and is there any person of that particular rank which you've got a chance to interact with, and how was the feeling, sir?
See, there are a lot of lawyers, but Ram Jethmalani, when I was doing law, Ram Jethmalani, he passed away a few years back, but he was considered as a superstar of law. I'll tell you an incident when I was doing an internship in the High Court. So there was one matter. Ram Jethmalani sir was coming to argue, and the message was spread around the court that Mr. Jethmalani is coming. You will not believe when he entered the court was jam packed. Everyone was there just to listen him, and it was a great experience, just to जिनको हम टीवी में देखते हैं, जिनके ऊपर सीरीज वगैरह में भी जिनका कहीं ना कहीं किरदार निभाया गया है, when you see them in front of you and they are arguing, the feeling is surreal. So जब ऐसा होता है तो I used to idolize him a lot, and उनको सोच के मैं करता था कि वो ऐसे करते होंगे, but ultimately his level of arguments were totally different. मतलब I hope one day I'll be able to reach that, but उनका अलग ही था. So I always used to have Ram Jethmalani sir back of my mind.
So while doing internships, is there any particular incident which you fondly remember that taught you a very important lesson which you still use in your legal career?
As an intern, I was doing internship with some advocate, so they sent me to take a Passover. So I appeared before the court and I took the Passover. The court asked, "Are you a lawyer?" I said no. When I said I am not a lawyer, the judge scolded me in open court for 5 minutes. They scolded me in open court. You cannot appear before the court. What is the basically, how are you appearing before the court? आपके पास क्या authority है? You are just a student. You are not even a proxy counsel. See, you are not authorized by the clients. How are you appearing before the court? So that was the first time I appeared as an intern, and I was scolded by the judge for 5 minutes in the open court, and I was so scared. I remember I thought कि भाई मुझे litigation करनी नहीं है अब. तो इतना डर गया था मैं कि litigation करनी नहीं है. But when I used to see my seniors, arguing and everything for 1.5 hours, 1 hour, तो मुझे लगता था यार ये चीज़ इतनी बुरी भी नहीं है. आज खा ले डांट, आगे चल के नहीं खाएंगे, और अगर खा लेंगे तो मुस्कुरा देंगे. इससे ज़्यादा क्या है?
So for non-legal students, What is Passover?
Passover is basically when the court, your matter is listed before a court, and the matter comes at 10 o'clock, right? And the arguing counsel or the main counsel is not available. So you ask the court to pass over the matter for like 1 hour, like एक घंटे के बाद उस matter को रखा जाए या 2 घंटे के बाद रखा जाए. So we call that particular thing a Passover. तो कोर्ट उसको हमारी विश को ग्रांट करके पास ओवर करती है, अगर उनको सही लगता है. अदरवाइज डेट भी लग जाती है. ऐसा नहीं है कि हमेशा मांगोगे पास ओवर तो हो जाएगा.
Okay, sir. Sir, so as we can see, you handle different kind of matters. For example, you handle litigation, then you also handle a consumer redressal, and then you also handle criminal matters. How is the intensity of criminal matter different from all these other matters which come under litigation?
See, civil matters में when you handle a civil matter, consumer matters हो गए and all that, उसमें जो होता है you deal with a normal human being. But when you handle a criminal matter ना, at least in the back of my mind, मेरे mind में ये होता है कि I am handling a criminal matter, तो सामने वाला is a criminal. तो I am on my feet कि मैं इसको कोई ऐसी चीज़ ना बोलूँ, इसको या ऐसी चीज़ ना करूँ, ये मेरे साथ भी कुछ गलत कर दे. Sorry. So I always keep that in my mind. Otherwise, the intensity I would say is same. I don't think there is any such difference. Consumer matters में of course वहाँ पे थोड़ा lenient चलता है. बाकी civil matters और criminal matters में it is before the courts only. Like the civil judge or the magistrate, they are of the same rank. So it is before the courts only. So उसमें ज़्यादा फर्क पड़ता नहीं है. बस ये है criminal matters का something I like about criminal matters कि वहाँ पे drafting ज़्यादा नहीं होती है. आप बेल लगाओगे, उसके बाद जो चीज़ें, अगर क्रिमिनल मैटर आपको बेल लेने तो आप बेल लगाओगे, उसके बाद चार्जशीट फाइल हो जाएगी या चार्जशीट फाइल हो गई, जैसा भी है, तो आपको उसमें ड्राफ्टिंग का स्कोप बहुत लिमिटेड होता है. सिविल मैटर्स में ड्राफ्टिंग ज़्यादा होती है, उसमें क्या बोलते हैं, लेबरस ज़्यादा होता है, मेहनत ज़्यादा होती है. और क्रिमिनल मैटर्स में आप एक वन थिंग आई लाइक इसकी, उसमें पेइंग जो होती है ना, इफ़ यू गेट गुड क्लाइंट्स तो पेइंग बहुत अच्छा होता है. फॉर बहुत लिमिटेड काम के लिए यू गेट गुड मनी. सो अदरवाइज बट इंटेंसिटी वाइज आई वुड से इट्स सेम.
So what we usually see is, like, among my peers, what I usually see is a lot of us aspire to become criminal lawyers. And from what I've heard is being a criminal lawyer is not easy. So when you try being a criminal lawyer, how do you start having a position in the mainstream arena where a lot of famous lawyers are already there? So how does the whole journey go?
So basically what you have to do if you just want to pursue criminal law, so you first of all you have to find a senior who's an expert in criminal law. You work with them, and after working with them you'll get an idea that how the system works. Once you get an idea, the thing is, I'll give you an example. For example, if you're doing check bounce cases and you're expert in that, I think the universe, maybe it's a universal thing or I don't know what it is. Once you become expert in that particular area, you will get those cases a lot. So if you are into criminal law, you're practicing criminal law, you are working with a criminal lawyer, ultimately after 2-3 years your expertise will be in that particular area. You will start getting, slowly and steadily people will start get to know you. Slowly and steadily you will start getting cases of criminal side only. So this is how it works. But to get reach that stature, it takes time. It doesn't happen in a day or two. It takes years of hard work. So you have to be prepared for that. There's no easy way out.
So, sir, this is one question which I asked in my previous episodes also, and I'll ask this question again, because this is one of the very basic questions which all of us think of while practicing law or while studying for law. How do you keep the question of conscience aside when you know that your client is a criminal? So how do you keep your ethics aside while fighting for a case?
I think it is the job of the lawyer to to defend whosoever comes to you. You have to defend it. It doesn't make a difference whether that person is a criminal or not. You just have to go with the flow. If you overthink it, you will never be able to do your job properly. But as a matter of principle, having said that, as a matter of principle, I never take cases of rape accused where I know the person has actually done it. There are a lot of false cases that are, slapped on the people. I represent there because supposedly girlfriend boyfriend के बीच में झगड़ा हुआ है, and these cases are happening like a lot. So I take those cases. But where I know, person has actually done a rape or, has assaulted a minor or something, I avoid taking those cases because मेरे को अंदर से लगता है I'll not be able to do justice with them. So, but there are lawyers who are able to, defend them, and it is okay. I do not judge anyone because everyone is entitled to, a fair criminal trial. So I do not think much of it. But as a principal, I do not take such cases. I refuse to be a part of it.
So
And
somewhere
at the
for
end of the
you,
day, sorry to cut you in between, at the end of the day, it is the money. After a point of time, it is the money which will attract you, which will keep you happy. So you will be like, fine, chalta hai, jo aaja chalega.
so for you personally, ethics do overcome other things.
For me, at times it does. Murder-wise, I'll be okay, to be very honest. But in terms of, rape cases, I avoid taking where people have actually done it. And one more thing you will learn, whosoever comes to you, whichever client comes to you, they'll never say I have done it. Nobody will admit it. बहुत ही रेयर होगा जो कह देना मैंने करा है, but mostly will say I have never done it. तो आप उसमें ही रहोगे, करा ही नहीं करा है.
Okay, so is it like the movie scene that we usually see is whatever you'll tell me correctly, then only I'll fight your case. So is this whole perspective wrong and twisted?
No. I think it is the right perspective. Lawyers do ask whether you have done it or not, because at times, the evidence is against you. You say, I have not done it, everything is against you. So you do ask them, why, what is the real story? Everything is stacked against you. So why aren't you telling me the entire story? Then, they'll come around. Their first thing of the client is, they'll beat around the bush. After that, they'll start, once they start to get to know you, they start trusting you, maybe they'll actually tell you whether they've done it or not. Actually, the point is, it's not that they know lawyers ultimately will defend them. That is not the point. The point is, everyone, fears of getting judged by the other person. So nobody wants to get judged, which is why we lie ultimately. So which is why they also lie. So that is the whole thing. Otherwise, lawyers को बताने में क्या शर्म है? हमने कौन सा सामने जाके दूसरी पार्टी से मिल जाना है या दूसरी साइड से केस लड़ जाना है? We cannot do that.
So now slowly moving to the legal arena. Usually, I've also seen people creating a difference between the High Court and Supreme Court. So for non-law students, what is the difference between a hearing in High Court and a hearing in Supreme Court?
See, Supreme Court is the apex body. It is above all the high courts, right? If you have an order against which you want to appeal of the High Court, you'll go to the Supreme Court. But if there's an order of the Supreme Court which you want to appeal against, there's no body. That is the final order. So Supreme Court is the apex body. It is the ultimate, you can say, temple of justice. Every court is a temple of justice, but that is the ultimate temple of justice. So that is the first difference. The other difference is, usually the same kind of writs can be filed in the high courts as well as before the Supreme Courts. Or supposedly we have seen, you must have seen also in the news clip, people are filing, election petitions even in the high courts as well as in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court asks them, do you go back to the high courts? So they can file, but ultimately Supreme Court also says that when you have the same remedy available before the high courts, you go to the high court first and then come to us. So that is these are two major, differences between the two. And both are constitutional courts in a way, not in a way, but they are constitutional courts. And in the high court, appeal from lower court can go to the high court, but from the lower court, direct appeal cannot go to the Supreme Court. That is another difference. So that is, and the order of the Supreme Court is the final. Supposedly, High Court has given one judgment on a particular point, another High Court has given another judgment on that particular point. What the Supreme Court will decide will be the ultimate thing. If the Supreme Court decide, okay, one of the High Court was fine, so they'll go with that. If the Supreme Court decide, no, both the High Courts are wrong, so Supreme Court decision will prevail. So it is like that.
So there is one question I think I missed in the study section. So basically, what do you think about LLM? Because a lot of people in colleges are propagating the idea that you do LLM only when you want to teach or you want to go into the academia. So what is your perspective on that particularly?
See, personally, I have not done LLM, but some of my friends have done LLM. What I've seen is that when you do LLM, you get good hold on your research. You become good in research aspect. So some of my friends who have done LLM, they did LLM from NLUs, and they got placed at good, law firms. So which ultimately helped them. So it's not like if you do LLM, you can only go for the teaching. No, no, no. If you do LLM, you can, choose a particular subject which, interests you, and then you can, go for the litigation if you want to in that particular area, and you can find law firms who deal in those particular areas. So LLM, it's not like you can only use it for academic purpose. It has real advantage even in the field of litigation as well.
So basically, this whole idea of doing academia with LLM is wrong, like
No, no.
totally.
Yeah, it is not. Matlab, it is not correct, to be very honest. You can of course use it after you want to do PhD or something. You can go to the academics or something, but it is equally helpful in litigation. I'll say that. I have seen people who have done LLM and they are doing pretty well in litigation as well.
So do you plan on doing LLM any soon?
I cannot study any more. Well, I can study the case laws and everything, but I cannot, do rattafying or ratte maro paper mein likh ke. I cannot do that. And plus, it's been almost 8 years now. I habit of writing, typing, using my keyboard. So it is very difficult for me to write with pen. It's very difficult now. Maybe sometime in future, but I don't think as of now I don't have any such plans.
If destiny has planned, then.
Yeah, I have destiny as plan. Nobody knows.
uh, coming back to the legal scenario, because you handle cases from the Consumer Redressal Forum also. So how does the Consumer Protection Bill 2019 has changed the whole scenario of consumers and sellers?
You want a real answer, you want a कुछ जो मन को खुश करे. What do you want? You want what
No,
is
sir.
actually?
Real answer, sir.
I don't think nothing has changed on the ground, to be very honest. Dependency is still there, right? The As per the Consumer Act, I think the cases has to be disposed of within 6 months or 1 year. It is still taking more than 4-5 years to get rid of a particular case. I don't think anything has changed. On paper, it must have, but the ground reality is totally different. कितनी सारी कोर्ट्स की तो कोरम ही कंप्लीट ही नहीं है, जजेस ही नहीं है उसके हिसाब से. नथिंग इज हैपनिंग, केसेस आर लाइंग देयर, एंड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं है. अभी फ्यू डेज बैक देयर वाज, आई वाज रीडिंग अ न्यूज़ आर्टिकल, देयर वाज दिस कंज्यूमर कोर्ट आई थिंक इन दिल्ली, which said, and the order got viral on social media. They said no proceedings can be done today. There's no AC, there's no proper drinking water, and there's no steno. Something like this particular order got viral on the social media. So you may bring changes over the act on the act, but the ground reality is still the same. Nothing has changed. I think you may make another 100 amendments to the act. But is it changing? Is it making a mark on the ground? I don't think so. So the ground reality, as per me, is it's status quo.
Okay, sir. So just the name has changed according to you.
The names have changed. The pecuniary jurisdiction has changed from 20 lakhs to 50 lakhs. They have changed to the district forum. From 50 lakhs to 2 crores state consumer forum, and above 2 crores national consumer forum. Apart from that, I don't think anything has changed.
So when it comes to drafting these laws, how are lawyers helpful to lawmaking bodies? Because in the institute I'm studying currently, we also have PPGC. So what PPGC is? Public Policy and Governance Committee. So we don't ourselves go into public policy making, but how do lawyers help administration and lawmaking bodies in general?
I have not understood your question. So
In,
sorry.
in in what way are lawyers able to help the lawmaking bodies in formulation of laws?
Okay, so whenever law is being framed, so they take the help of lawyers. Like I'll give you an example. I know someone. When Are you aware of RERA Act? Are you
Yes,
aware
sir.
of it?
Yes.
So this particular act, I am aware. There's this one particular lawyer I know. So when they were formulating that act, they took the help of that particular lawyer. There was a team of lawyers, and he was part of it. So they ask how to form the which body can do it, who should be on that body, So, and how much time will it take to get resolved? What should be the procedure that should be, taken to dispose of the cases? And how will the orders get implemented? So, the lawyers give their expert opinions on the basis of the experience which they have, and on the basis, and they take, supposedly I am giving you, making a law regarding land, right? So I'll take the help of lawyers who are expert in land related matters. So they'll come and they'll help. They'll say ki we are making a law on particular thing on a land. These are some of the, landmark judgments, and keeping those in mind, we can make a law. So this is how lawyers actually come in helping the from formation of public policy.
So, also for a non-law studying audience, what is the RERA Act specifically?
So RERA Act is Real Estate Regulatory Act. So it basically governs relationship between a builder and a buyer, and of course the agents. So the land related, or the, the building related issues goes to the RERA forums, and there's a criteria has been set, like for I think 500 yeah, square yards or something the land should be, and if you're developing a building over it, so it has to be get registered before the RERA. I may not maybe wrong with the criteria. So this is the RERA Act, and it was supposed to help the, buyers, and because there's a lot of problem with the builders all over India, not just in Delhi NCR, but Mumbai and other states, cities as well. So RERA Act was found basically to mitigate that disaster, and it came into effect in 2016, and I think it's been 8 years, and people are still fighting cases in RERA, and they're getting mixed results, I would say. It was supposed to be a consumer friendly or a buyer friendly law, and it is still a buyer friendly law, but again the reality on ground is far from what was projected, what was thought would happen.
So, how do you think has digitalization affected consumer behavior in general?
See, digitalization of, I'll say there are two aspects to it. The first one is we can buy anything by just clicking on it. By just clicking something and we will get it within a day or two. We have seen e-commerce things, So that has, improved our lives in a way, because it has made everything accessible to us, and it has, reduced our work in a way. We have to go to the markets and everything, but it has its consequences as well. Our data gets stolen, our data gets misused by the people who are taking our data, and ultimately we are becoming victims of cyber fraud because of it. So I'll give you an example of it. Like, you want a car, you want to buy a car. We are talking about car, right? Not many people know, and the social media companies will never agree to it. They are listening to what we are saying right now. In a while, you start seeing ads of cars on your phone, right? And you will ultimately see the cars ads, and you will think, the universe is sending a signal. Okay, cars लेनी है मेरे को, cars की ads भी आ रही है. You open one of the links. सारे links तो genuine नहीं होते, एक आध कोई link वो भी होते हैं, fraud भी होते हैं. अगर किस्मत खराब है तो फ्रॉड वाले लिंक पे चले जाएगा, आप कुछ बुकिंग अमाउंट वगैरह भी डाल दोगे. आई एम जस्ट गिविंग एन एग्जांपल. कर दो, अगर आपके साथ साइबर फ्रॉड भी हो जाएगा. पॉजिटिव एस्पेक्ट ये है कि मुझे जो भी उसकी फीचर्स चाहिए मुझे एक बार ही मिल जाएगी. अगर मुझे बुक्स वगैरह कुछ बुकिंग करनी है, या कार टेस्ट करनी है, बुकिंग उसकी ड्राइविंग टेस्ट करनी है, वो सारे 1 मिनट के अंदर हो सकता है चीज़ें. लेकिन ड्रॉबैक्स ये है कि वही चीज़ों का इस्तेमाल अगर कोई गलत बंदा कर रहा है तो मेरे अकाउंट से पैसा भी खाली हो जाता है. सो इसके दोनों पर्सपेक्टिव हैं. साइबर फ्रॉड भी हो रहा है और हमारी लाइफ भी है ईजी हो रही है. बाकी अल्टीमेटली आई बिलीव जो डिजिटाइजेशन है, इट इज़ अल्टीमेटली हेल्पिंग अस, कि हमको जो भी है चाहिए चीज़ें, इट हैज़ बिकम वेरी ईजी फॉर अस टू गेट एनीथिंग वी वांट, टू अंडरस्टैंड कि मार्केट में क्या है. एंड फॉर एग्जांपल आज के टाइम में आप कुछ भी किसी के साथ कोई प्रोडक्ट मार्केट में लॉन्च करते हो, इफ द रिव्यूज़ आर नॉट गुड, it will spread like a fire, so you will get to know. So that is the one benefit I would say of digitization, which is helping the consumer behavior. You are more informed now than you were like 20 years back. So that is the one aspect which is a very good aspect, which is a very good thing about digitization. The drawback which I have already told you is happening, so that has to be curtailed. And I think yesterday only I saw a statement by the government, that they'll focus on cyber frauds because it is happening at a very big scale. जम तारा सबने देखा ही है, तो शो तो आइडिया लगी जाएगा कैसे होता है. आई थिंक वी इन अ वे वी ऑल हैव बीन विक्टिम्स ऑफ साइबर फ्रॉड्स, one way or the other. I think we all have been victims of it.
So also nowadays there are a lot of online websites to read. So I usually read in Live Law about how a lot of big shot companies, when called on for consumer redressal, they don't appear in the court itself. So they have to give an ex parte judgment. So two things. First, what is an ex parte judgment? Second, what is the government doing or what is the law doing to make sure that these big shot companies let go of their ego and come for a proceeding?
See, ex parte judgment is that when the one party who's the defendant, they are asked to appear. The courts have sent in these summons or these notices, and they are not appearing before the court. So the court has the power to proceed the matter without them. And when they are proceeded without the appearance of the other party, when they are not appearing, we call it ex parte. And once they are not appearing, the ex parte judgment is given. The evidence is led because the plaintiff or the complainant is leading the evidence. There's no one who's going to challenge it. So ultimately, the ex parte order is given by the courts. The other thing is how to bring them to the courts, right? That is the question. If you do some kind of create a problem for the consumers in Western countries, be it US or Europe, they put such big penalties on the multinational companies or the companies that they ultimately come and try to settle the matter with you. In India, if they do not come, supposedly there's a defect on my phone of 10,000 rupees, the court will give a damages or compensation to me of rupees 10,000, 20,000. So they are not bothered about it. इतनी छोटी अमाउंट के लिए क्या करेंगे? लिटिगेशन जो उन्होंने वकील रखे हुए हैं, उनकी जो फीस है वो उससे ज़्यादा होगी, तो क्या करेंगे आके वो कोर्ट में? So the penalties have to be very harsh. The government have to make sure कि you put such harsh penalties that they are forced to appear before the courts, and ultimately there is a better resolution which is coming our way. So I think the harsh penalties has to be there. But इसका एक दूसरा वे ये है कि अगर हम इतनी harsh penalties लगाएंगे, कंपनियां भाग जाएगी. हिंदुस्तान में पॉपुलेशन इतनी है, सो इट्स अ कैश 22 सिचुएशन. हार्श पेनल्टी लगाओगे तो भाग जाएगी, नहीं लगाओगे तो जैसा चल रहा है वैसा चलता रहेगा. सो यू हैव टू फाइंड सम मिडल वे और मिडल ग्राउंड जिससे ये सारी चीज़ों को सॉल्व किया जाए. एंड इट इज़ फॉर द पॉलिसी मेकर्स टू अल्टीमेटली सी कि हाउ इट हैज़ टू बी डन. हम तो अपने सजेशन यहाँ पे बैठ के दे सकते हैं, बट इट इज़ फॉर देम अल्टीमेटली कि इस डिजास्टर को कैसे बचा सकते हैं.
So being students, a lot of us, we sometimes receive faulty products. Sometimes we are not given warranty over our products which we have. So on a very grassroots level, what is the basic procedure of filing a complaint for consumer redressal?
So you can, the government has launched e-Dakhil as well. You can file through online complaint as well. So everything will be done, the proceedings will be done online. But there are some technical issues with it, but otherwise it's a good platform. Otherwise, I'll always suggest client whenever there's some kind of defect in the device or whatever services there's problem with that, always send a legal notice first. If the amount is small, largely the companies, what I've seen, they try to settle it in one way or the other. So that will help you save the litigation cost. Always send a legal notice first. Do not think you're Sida filing the case. Send a legal notice first. If they do not respond to it or do not settle, then file a consumer complaint before the consumer forums. अगर आपको 50 लाख तक का है तो आप डिस्ट्रिक्ट फोरम में जाएंगे. 50 लाख से ऊपर का क्लेम है तो आप स्टेट कमीशन में जाएंगे. 2 करोड़ से ऊपर का तो नेशनल कमीशन में जाएंगे. वहाँ पे when you go, so the procedure is you file a complaint. The notices or the summons are sent to the companies. They come, they appear, they file their written statement, which we call also known as reply. वो अपना वो फाइल करते हैं. Then the court gives you an option कि you file reply to their reply, which is called rejoinder or the replication. ठीक है, you file that. After that, the matter is put up for the evidences. You give your evidence by way of affidavit. Affidavit की फॉर्म में हम अपना affidavit वो देते हैं, evidence देते हैं, right? Writing में होता है. which we mainly reproduce the contents of the complaint which we have filed, right? So वो होता है, फिर दूसरी पार्टी अपना एविडेंस देती है, दोनों पार्टीज एविडेंस जब देती है तो कोर्ट वहाँ पे जो होता है क्रॉस एग्जामिनेशन कंज्यूमर कोर्ट्स में नहीं होता है, क्योंकि वहाँ पे समरी प्रोसीजर को फॉलो किया जाता है। तो जब ये दोनों पार्टी ने एविडेंस दे दिया तो फिर कोर्ट कहती है कि आप अपनी रिटर्न आर्ग्यूमेंट्स फाइल करो, तो दोनों पार्टी अपनी रिटर्न आर्ग्यूमेंट्स फाइल होती हैं, एंड आफ्टर दैट द मैटर इज लिस्टेड फॉर द ओरल आर्ग्यूमेंट्स, फिर ओरल आर्ग्यूमेंट्स होती हैं, देन द मैटर रिजर्व फॉर द ऑर्डर्स, फिर कोर्ट ऑर्डर उसमें पास करती है। लेकिन इसमें एक चीज़ बताना चाहूँगा, ये सारे प्रोसीजर में आप समझ लो अच्छा खासा टाइम लगता है, एक आध साल के अंदर नहीं होने वाला, तो इसमें बहुत लंबा टाइम लगता है। इसलिए आई ऑलवेज एडवाइज क्लाइंट्स और द पीपल हु कम टू मी फॉर सच पेटी इशूज़, पेटी ऑफ कोर्स पेटी इन द सेंस सबके लिए अपना, किसी के लिए 10,000 भी कोई छोटी अमाउंट नहीं है, बट पेटी इशूज़ इन द सेंस कि आप कोर्ट जाओगे उससे ज़्यादा आपकी लिटिगेशन कॉस्ट आ जाएगी। ऑलवेज सेंड लीगल नोटिस फर्स्ट और अप्रोच देम थ्रू ईमेल्स और समथिंग, कॉल देयर एग्जीक्यूटिव्स और समथिंग, that is far better than approaching courts. I'll always say that make a principle in your life कि हम कोर्ट बाद में जाएंगे, पहले हम आउट ऑफ कोर्ट सेटलमेंट करने की कोशिश करेंगे, अगर वो हो गया तब हम कोर्ट्स में जाएंगे, बिकॉज द पेंडेंसी इन कोर्ट्स इज टू मच, जिसको आप यू कैन नॉट बीट इवन इन द नेक्स्ट 10 years.
So we are drawing very close to the end of the podcast. So some final questions, concluding questions. First question would be, sir, being a student, what advice would you give students to improve their researching skills? Because being a student, I myself, what I see is judgments are not small. They are not 10 or 20 pages. They are sometimes 500, 600 pages. So what is that one piece of advice that you would give for me and for all the other students to improve their researching skills?
सबसे ज़्यादा इसमें अब यू हैव टू कीप इन माइंड कि जितना ज़्यादा आप पढ़ते जाओगे ना जजमेंट्स वगैरह को, एक तो आपकी लॉ की जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है वो आपकी वाइडन होती है, ठीक है। सेकेंडली आपको अपनी अगर रिसर्च करनी है ना, तो आपको ये देखना है कि आप किस पॉइंट पे आप जजमेंट ढूंढना चाहते हो। कोई भी आपको एक प्रोपोजिशन लेना है, वो प्रोपोजिशन के उस प्रोपोजिशन को आप जो भी सॉफ्टवेयर का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हो या ऐप का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हो, उस प्रोपोजिशन को लिखो एंड देन डू दी रिसर्च ऑफ इट। अगर आपको कोई जजमेंट अगेंस्ट में मिल जाती है ना, तो उसको बंद मत करो, उसको पढ़ो, उसमें 2-4 जजमेंट्स और होगी जो हो सकता है आपके फेवर की हो, और वो वाली जजमेंट खाई, उन जजमेंट्स को देखो। अब 600 पेजेस, वी कैन नॉट रीड ऑल द 600 पेजेस, इवन वी डू नॉट रीड 600 पेजेस, राइट। तो इसमें आपने ये करना होता है, फैक्ट्स वगैरह अगर आप पढ़ना चाहो तो पढ़ लो, अदरवाइज आप ऑब्जर्वेशन जो कोर्ट की होती है ना, आप सीधा उसमें आ जाओ, उसमें जनरली आपको आइडिया लग जाएगा कि व्हाट कोर्ट हैज़ डिसाइडेड एंड उन्होंने वो चीज़ कैसे डिसाइड करी है, क्योंकि उसमें लिखा होगा कि दोनों पार्टी ने ये आर्ग्यू करा, उस पार्टी ने ये आर्ग्यू करा, अल्टीमेटली मेरा ये ओपिनियन फॉर्म हो रहा है। सो दिस इज हाउ यू बेसिकली डू द रिसर्च एंड दिस इज हाउ यू बेसिकली रीड। और 600 पेज पढ़ने का नहीं हो पाएगा, क्योंकि उसमें बहुत टाइम्स के होते थे जो लैंडमार्क जजमेंट्स होती है, व्हाट द कोर्ट डू कि इंटरनेशनल फोरम्स में ये हो रहा है, उसके बाद ये लॉ आया, सो दे डिस्कस एवरीथिंग इन डिटेल। यू डू नॉट हैव टू रीड इट अनलेस आपके पास बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम है, आप बहुत ज़्यादा गीक्स हो, तो आप पढ़ लो, अदरवाइज आप उसमें सिर्फ वो सॉरी आई थिंक नेटवर्क वाज लॉस्ट। तो कितना उसमें रिकॉर्ड हुआ सो दैट
सर इट वाज आप वही डिस्कस कर रहे थे, वो जो 600 पेजेस वाला है कि 600 पेजेस रीड ना करने की जगह।
तो मैं स्टार्टिंग से बोलूं या वहीं से स्टार्ट कर दूं?
स्टार्टिंग से कर लेते हैं सर, नो प्रॉब्लम।
ठीक है
ठीक है सर, आप कंटिन्यू कीजिए।
सो बेसिकली व्हेन यू डू द रिसर्च, सबसे पहले यू हैव टू सी कि प्रोपोजिशन क्या है, हमें किस पे रिसर्च करनी है। यू राइट दैट ऑन वट एवर सॉफ्टवेयर और दी ऐप यू आर यूजिंग। आप उसको लिखिए, उसको सर्च करिए, आपके फेवर में भी जजमेंट्स आएगी, हो सकता है आपके अगेंस्ट में भी आ जाएगी। जो अगेंस्ट वाली है उसको भी एक बार पढ़ लीजिए। जो जजमेंट्स होती है ना, कई बार उसके अंदर भी कई जजमेंट्स का रेफरेंस होता है, तो वो जजमेंट्स भी आपके काम आ जाती है। अब आपको पढ़ना क्या क्या है, जो कोर्ट के फैक्चुअल क्रक्स होता है ना, यू मे अवॉइड दैट। जो कोर्ट की ऑब्जर्वेशन और जो कंक्लूजन होता है, रीड दैट, यू विल अंडरस्टैंड कि कोर्ट ने अपना ओपिनियन किस बेसिस में फॉर्म करा है, बिकॉज दैट इज द मेन थिंग। अल्टीमेटली व्हाट हैज बीन हेल्ड बाय द कोर्ट इज द कंक्लूजन ऑफ द ऑब्जर्वेशन पार्ट, वॉट एवर इट दे पुट इट अंडर द पैराग्राफ। सो आपका वो वाला पार्ट है, दैट इज द मेन थिंग। एंड बहुत बारी कोर्ट्स की होती है जो जजमेंट्स पास करती है, उसमें लिखते हैं कि हमने ये लॉ जो है कैसे आया, कैसे डिराइव हुआ, इंटरनेशनल फोरम्स में ये थे, ये ट्रीटीज थी, ये साइन हुआ एंड ऑल दैट, राइट। तो कोर्ट्स वो सारी चीज़ें डिस्कस करती है, सो यू कैन अवॉइड दैट। सो रीड द कंक्लूजन पार्ट, यू विल अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट दे आर सेइंग, एंड उसके बेसिस पे यू आपकी जो रिसर्च है आपकी उसमें पूरी हो जाएगी। एंड इफ दे हैव रेफर टू एनी जजमेंट्स, यूज दोज जजमेंट एज वेल। तो आपकी जो रिसर्च है एक ही पॉइंट पे, आपको जो मल्टीपल जजमेंट्स अगर कभी कभी हमें चाहिए होती है, तो वो आपको एक ही जजमेंट से मिल जाती है। तो दैट इज़ द बेनिफिशियल पार्ट, एंड दैट इज़ हाउ आई थिंक द लीगल रिसर्च शुड बी डन। और भी वो अच्छे से होती होगी, आई एम ऑल्सो लर्निंग। तो अगर आपको पता चले तो मुझे ही बताना बल्कि।
Sure, sir. So one piece of advice for students who are pursuing law, and also for students who want to pursue law.
The one piece of advice I would give, if people want to get into litigation, I'll say do as many internships as you can, make as many contacts as you can, socialize as much as you can, and remember one thing, studies never go for waste. हम सोचते हैं ना पढ़ाई का क्या काम आया, अल्टीमेटली दे विल हेल्प यू सूनर और लेटर इन लाइफ। आप सोचोगे कि ये चीज़ कोर्ट में प्रोसीजर जो कोर्ट में फॉलो होता है, जो हमें पढ़ाया जाता है कॉलेजेस में, डिफरेंस, देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ डिफरेंस। बट जो स्टडीज़ है ना, जो पढ़ाई है, इट विल ऑलवेज हेल्प यू। आज नहीं तो कल आपको याद आएगा, अरे इस सेक्शन के अंदर ये चीज़ कही थी, अगर ये वाले सेक्शन के अंदर ये चीज़ कही थी, तो जो दूसरी वाली पार्टी कह रही है वो तो गलत है, तो आप उस सेक्शन का रेफरेंस दे सकते हैं कि इस सेक्शन में ये है, बार्ड है, जो भी एग्जाम्पल दे रहा हूँ मैं आपको। तो स्टडीज नेवर गो फॉर वेस्ट, स्टडी वेल, पार्टी हार्ड, and socialize more, and of course do as many internships as you can। and people who want to do law, सबसे पहले तो आप ये देखिए कि आप लॉ क्यों करना चाहते हैं, समझिए कि why do you want to get into this profession, you want to serve the society, you want to make money, or what is the ultimate objective। if your objective is to make money, then आपको चूज़ करना होगा कि आपको कॉर्पोरेट में जाना है, लिटिगेशन में जाना है। लिटिगेशन में जाना है तो कितने टाइम बाद आपको पर्क्स मिलेंगे। अगर आपको कॉर्पोरेट में जाना है तो आपको देखना होगा कि आपके अल्टीमेट गोल्स क्या है, उसके बेसिस पे यू डिसाइड। लॉ इज अ गुड फील्ड, देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर द पीपल। 5 करोड़ केसेस आर पेंडिंग एज ऑफ नाउ ऑल ओवर इंडिया in various forums, including High Court, District Court, Supreme Court. The approximate 5 crore cases are pending. Maybe another 2-3 crore cases will be filed in the next 10 years. So there is a lot of opportunity for everyone. You can go and make a mark for yourself in the profession, but do not go unprepared. You must, if you are antisocial, if you can change yourself, you can socialize, then you should be in. You should do law. If you are antisocial and you think you want to do law, you want to practice law, then I would suggest कि कुछ और कर लेना अल्टीमेटली, अदरवाइज आप यू विल हैव सम इश्यूज विद इट। क्योंकि आप जितना सोशलाइज करोगे लोग आपको उतना जानेंगे, अल्टीमेटली आपको केसेस रेफरेंस से ही सबसे ज़्यादा आते हैं। एंड किसी का आप काम अगर अच्छा कर दोगे तो फिर वर्ड ऑफ माउथ भी स्प्रेड होता है, बट इट टेक्स टाइम। तो इनिशियली जो केसेस हमारे पास आते हैं वो रेफरेंस से आते हैं। तो मेक कॉन्टैक्ट्स, दैट्स ऑल आई कैन से। एंड ऑफ कोर्स पार्टी हार्ड एंड वर्क हार्ड।
Sure, sir. So there is one question that I think we missed, which needs to be discussed. That you're also the founder and the host of the Law Show. So, sir, what was the idea behind the Law Show?
See, I'll tell you, I in 2023, sorry, I was making random reels like on law. I was explaining subject, but I realized almost 40-50 other lawyers were also doing that. So I was like, कि इसमें इतना competition है, everyone is doing that. What different I am doing with it, right? Everyone is passing the information which is already available. बताने का तरीका अच्छा है, कोई ज़्यादा फेमस हो गया, कोई नहीं होगा। सो आई थॉट लेट्स डू समथिंग डिफरेंट। और पॉडकास्ट का ज़माना है, तो मैंने कहा पॉडकास्ट करके देखते हैं। सो आई स्टार्टेड द पॉडकास्ट, आई शॉट लाइक 8-9 एपिसोड्स। I've taken a little pause due to some personal issues. I'll resume it soon again. So I thought of doing the podcast, and the one thing I want to do with the podcast is that कि लोग अगर मैं पर्टिकुलर कोई सब्जेक्ट अगर मैं या इशू को मैं डिस्कस कर रहा हूँ ना, तो इंस्टेड ऑफ रीडिंग एन आर्टिकल और समथिंग, लोग वो वीडियो देखे, वो पूरी वीडियो में उस इशू को एक ही बार में समझ जाए, उनको मल्टीपल वीडियोस ना देखनी पड़े, मल्टीपल आर्टिकल्स ना करने पड़े. तो दैट वाज द अदर एम. एंड मैं जब भी पॉडकास्ट करा तो मैंने उस पर यही देखा कि मैं पर्टिकुलर इशू पे ही करता था, कि पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक पे करता था, मैं उसी पे रिवॉल्व करता था पूरा पॉडकास्ट. So that was the ultimate goal, and I'll resume it soon again. And that was the vision कि कुछ अलग ही करना है, भेड़ चाल में नहीं घुसना मुझे. So ये एक सबसे बड़ा था.
Sir, if we could get some constituents of consti law थोड़ा सा podcast में, so it will be helpful for us, please sir.
I am inviting one of my professors who was on constitutional law. So I think we'll be doing a podcast with him very soon. एक बात मेरी टीचर ने उनके लिए कही थी, fellow professor said about my constitutional professor that कि अम्बेडकर साहब ने constitution लिखा है, रविंदर साहब ने constitution को समझा है. So he was referred to as an authority within the university. He is that good in constitution. Hopefully, I will get him soon, and I'll do a podcast on the constitutional law as well.
So thank you so much for this enlightening session. Once again, thankful from on behalf of the whole team, especially from our project coordinators Pawan SS and Kamal Aditya. Thank you for showing up on this podcast. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure to be a part of this podcast.